Hello and welcome to this incredibly exciting moment. It's the moment our team has been waiting for all year long. Today is the official launch of the Young Global Leaders Class of 2022. My name is Mariah Levin and I'm the head of the Forum of Young Global Leaders.
And my name is Kule Galma and I am leading today's new class launch, which is coming to you live from the World Economic Forum's production studio in Geneva, Switzerland.
Each year, the Forum of Young Global Leaders goes through a rigorous selection process to identify, select, and of course, celebrate remarkable leaders under the age of 40 who are leading their countries, serving their communities, and launching groundbreaking initiatives to inspire new ways of driving social change. And today, the moment we know that you've been waiting for, we'll officially announce the 109 new trailblazers selected from over 44 countries and from over 1,500 nominations to join the Young Global Leaders Class of 2022.
In today's session, we will do three things. First, we'll share highlights from the 2022 new class launch, including the press release, blogs, stats, announcements, and so much more. Keep an eye on the chat and feel free to share these materials widely. Second, we'll invite the president of the World Economic Forum to weigh in on the significance of today's celebration. And finally, we'll hear from a few members of the 2022 class who are creating transformational change and addressing some of the world's most pressing problems. With this, let's jump right in.
Sure. This year's class represents what's needed most in the world today: hope, empathy, authenticity, and ingenuity to change the world for the better. The latest UN report on climate change warned that it's now or never to reverse human-induced global warming. And after 2 years of a global pandemic, our divided societies need scalable and coordinated repair. These challenging times are an opportunity for leaders to demonstrate their role in building a more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable world. And that's just what young global leaders are capable of. This year's class is composed of 109 leaders from 44 countries, from Afghanistan to Argentina, Somalia to Singapore. They represent a diverse set of responsible leaders from all walks of life who model a powerful truth: that each of us has a role to play in making our communities and the world better. More than 50% of the members in this class are women, and 65% are from the Southern Hemisphere. Aligned with the World Economic Forum's convictions that tackling our gravest challenges requires input from all perspectives, this is truly a multi-stakeholder group. From innovators to activists and creatives and other leading global experts, new class members are protecting our planet to ensure that we can live sustainably for generations to come. They're building cohesive societies through entrepreneurship, gender justice, and the arts. They're at the forefront of COVID-19 research and so much more. We're incredibly inspired by the class of 2022, and we expect that our viewers today are too.
To see the full list of new class members and their bios, please visit our website, younggloballeaders.org. You can also visit the homepage of the World Economic Forum to read the collection pieces profiling our new class members, and of course, follow us on social media at YGL Voices to receive daily content highlighting young global leaders around the world and their unique stories of impact and authentic leadership. We'll link everything in the chat below. Please like, comment, and share this content as widely as possible.
Thank you, Kule, and a big thank you for leading this celebration and the celebration of our new class. Kule is the magician behind this year's new class launch and has taken a fresh approach to make the most of this milestone. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Up next, I'd like to invite the president of the World Economic Forum, Børge Brende, to join today's conversation. Børge is a remarkable leader with many lessons to share. He was the former Norwegian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Industry, as well as the environment. He was also the Secretary General of the Norwegian Red Cross and Deputy Chairman of the Norwegian Conservative Party. Børge, it is so good to have you with us. Thank you for being here. I'm wondering, what does this moment mean to you and the World Economic Forum?
Thank you for inviting me, and a big congratulations to the new young global leaders. of 2022. This announcement comes at a time where we are unfortunately faced with a more polarized world. But I think you, as the new young global leaders, can play a role in breaking impasses and also making sure that we will make progress even in such a world that we are faced with. We are so proud of you as young global leaders and coming from so many different countries and so many different backgrounds. And we have put so much work into then selecting this group. And we have selected you because we think you will continue to really be a part of trying to improve our world. Global challenges needs global solutions. And as mentioned already, we cannot deal with the digital divide in the world, 3.6 billion people not being connected to the internet, or we cannot deal with the burning planet if we don't find common solutions. These challenges are so prominent, and we know from the past, we have had young global leaders now for almost 2 decades, and we know that the young global leaders have been so instrumental in also really walking the talk. Young global leaders have been instrumental in making sure that we're also planting trees in India, that we build a fund of $1 billion to address gender inequalities in the world. And we also know that young global leaders have looked at how to strengthen dignity all over the world, and also how should we do when we're faced with food crisis and food also shortages like we are doing today. So for me, this is a very important moment to also celebrate, but also use this opportunity to really show that being a young global leader comes with also big responsibilities. And our world is now, of course, in a situation where we are seeing wars again, but we're also seeing that the economic recovery after COVID, and we're not out of the woods yet, is also very weak. And we are seeing that many developing countries and emerging economies are faced now with big challenges. We have to make sure that this recovery doesn't end in food shortages, energy crisis, more CO2 emissions, and also increased unemployment, because it can easily turn into a new recession. So based on all this, we will, in a multi-stakeholder way, bring together world leaders at the World Economic Forum, and you are very important in that respect to make sure that we make really sound and good decisions for our planet moving forward. So again, congratulations. Welcome to one of the most important communities in the world. And as I said, it's great to be a young global leader, but it also comes with a great responsibility. And I know you will not disappoint us in that respect. I know you will be part of making our planet a better place for the 7 billion people on it.
Thank you so much, Borge, for these wise words. And yes, we do know that our young global leaders are going to be at the forefront of creating the change that we need to see to make a more inclusive and sustainable planet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we want to turn to new members of the class of 2022. Up first, I'd like to introduce Eva Meidel. She's a member of the European Parliament, and formally, she was the first woman elected as the president of the European Movement International, the largest European network of civil society organizations. Eva is a long-time advocate of entrepreneurship and education, 2 issues that Borge just mentioned in his remarks. Eva, it's great to see you.
Lovely to see you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us, and congratulations on being Young Global Leader. We have a question for you, and that is, given the state of the world and what you see kind of burgeoning as global issues, what type of change do you hope to achieve in the year ahead, and how do you envision collaborating with young global leaders in order to achieve it?
Well, so first of all, I have to thank for the opportunity to be part of such a truly inspiring but also a very promising group of people. I think it is not often that one can meet so much potential, so much intellectual curiosity brought together in the same place. So in a way, I feel lucky to be part of that group. But going to your question, what change I want to see, I have to say it's a very serious question. But perhaps I will start my answer with a small story. It was April, but about 100 years ago, and it was actually in Manhattan when the street lighting went off and was dark. And as it grew darker that evening, New Yorkers complained to the local police, though with little effect. And what has happened, and the reason for the streets going dark, was that lamplighters back then went on strike and left around 25,000 street lamps unlit. Why? Well, because they were afraid that their 500-year-old profession will simply disappear. And that's because just a few years before that, Thomas Edison had invented the electric bulb, which at the time was a life-changing invention and a true innovation. Today, we live in the era of a new technological revolution, technological inventions and innovation. And some of them are revolutionary, and some of them are so revolutionary that they do scare society. So I'm wondering, as I'm working on the new law on AI, is artificial intelligence our new electric bulb, perhaps? And if I want to change something in my work as a member of the European Parliament, is the fear of innovation. What I do as a legislator is not just writing legislation and laws for technology. It is about gaining public trust for innovations. And we would want to prepare our society to accept and to embrace these technological developments. But on the other hand, I think we also need to make sure we can convince tech companies that there is more than just profitability. Most of them do bear serious responsibilities for upholding the public interest. And I hope that in this like-minded and also open-minded, creative and passionate about transformational change group, I can find the support to think bigger, to be able to go further into bringing trust into innovations and truly finding those solutions to the global challenges we'll be talking about.
Eva, thank you so much. I think you've hit on so many important features of today's top issues. Number one being trust, and trust in government, in business, in civil society, and how we've seen that shift over the pandemic, and how necessary it is to be able to build a future that we can all share together and prosper. Thank you so much for your comments. We're very, very excited to have you in the community. Next, I'd like to go to Wissam Joubran. Wissam is a composer, a performer of the trio, Le Trio Joubran of the Palestinian territories. He has played at over 1,200 concerts, I think, and at Carnegie Hall, at Olympia. Wissam, it is such a pleasure to have you here and to have your perspective on art and culture and how it can create social change integrated in our community. And that is actually my very question. I'm wondering, Wissam, from your perspective, how do you see the arts and culture creating social cohesion at this critical moment in time?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. And I thank the Forum of the Young Global Leaders and all the community, and congratulations for all the members. I'm so happy to be with you today. To answer your question, I can say art is a universal language. The art and culture is a result of the self-trust and an inner peace between the artist and himself and his own self. So definitely when we spread the art, we reunite humanity and society again, as if it becomes the glue or the element that links us all together. Artists have responsibility to incite positive emotions and vibes to ensure that culture is on its path of improvement and has its depth in a human way. It's a tool to communicate with diverse audience, building trust and creating harmony. Coming from a family that is in the music industry since more than a century, I feel responsibility towards the preservation of the art of oud making and its music, protecting heritage. I'm holding this instrument, we call it the oud. We can say that it's like a pregnant woman that holds generations and holds culture. Coming from family that tried since century to pass a message to others that through art we can communicate. And here, when I talk about communication, and this is what we need today, the communication between all of us. I can talk as well about the Trio Gibran, my group that is composed by 3 brothers. If I talked before about the trust myself when I make music or when I make art, imagine if I'm working with a group. So we communicate by eyes when we play together. We are composing together, so we need to trust as well others and to deliver the message. Actually, what we are doing here is just to try to pass emotions to others, and we have big responsibility which kind of emotions we want to pass to others. And finally, I can say that art unites communities to overcome adversity by promoting messages of peace and love.
That is very, very beautiful, Wissam. Thank you so much for those remarks. I think in particular, this idea of having a universal language, an emotive language that can bring people together in a unified or sort of complementary emotional wave at a time when we see so many silos is exceptionally powerful. Thank you so much. Next, I want to ask Françoise Medout, who is the CEO of the African Women's Development Fund, to say a few words. She is passionate about advocating for women's rights and building a powerful feminist movement in Africa and beyond. Françoise, it is such a pleasure to have you with us. We have heard so much about you and your work, and we're very much looking forward to learning with you and from you. And as you hear these comments from Eva and Wissam, I'm wondering, how do you see gender and social justice playing into this idea of creating a more equitable and sustainable world?
Thank you so much. First, thank you for, it's just energizing to be here. And I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to connect with all the young local leaders. I think for me, so I show up in this space as an African woman, a Black woman, a feminist. And from all of those perspectives, there's one thing that I can say to answer your question is that there is no equity, there's no sustainability without gender justice and without social justice. If we think about gender justice as the fight for all oppressions that we face as women and as marginalized people, we don't face only one We face gender discrimination, racial discrimination, climate discrimination, all of those discriminations. And equity for women and for marginalized people is equity for all of us. So I really strongly believe that if our common goal is social justice, is equity, then gender justice is just very, very central to it. And the second thing I say is that there is also social justice between a strong movement of social activists, civil society advocates, of feminists coming together. And I'm so excited that there's a few of us as part of this cohort of 2022, because what that we aim to do is not just to build equality, but to build equity and freedom for all from systems like the patriarchy and others that are very, very oppressive. So as we start our year together, I'm really excited that we all can learn from each other and dare to integrate the strong core values of gender justice activism in our common work, which are, in my view, being transformative. So when we think about building back better, actually let's think about building different, because what was happening before wasn't so great for many of us. Also, let's think about being radical. I don't mean necessarily in the more subversive way, but I'm also thinking about, as a French speaker initially, the etymology of radical, which is coming from the roots. Let's go to the roots of the issues that we are looking at. And I'm really hoping that's something that we can do together in this year of 2022. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, Françoise, thank you for your words. Yes, I hope that these young global leaders, the group that you're joining, will go to the roots of so many of the social issues and the political, environmental issues that we're facing. And as you heard from Borge, we have incredible hopes for you. And we're here to support your work and build collaboration across the movements that we see around the world that can really lend themselves to a more inclusive, as you say, not building back better, but building back differently, building different systems that are more inclusive and really do recognize the right of all humans to live with dignity. Thank you for your comments. Finally, we're joined by John Tyson. He is the Executive Vice President and Chief Strategy and Sustainability Officer of Tyson Foods. He leads the company's efforts to support a more sustainable protein system. As well, he manages animal welfare, environmental, sustainability, and corporate social responsibility teams at Tyson Foods. John, it's a real pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for joining.
Mariah, thank you for having me, and congratulations to all my classmates here today. This is really a special moment for me personally and for so many of us to get to connect. And also thank you to the World Economic Forum, not only for allowing me to represent so many of my colleagues at Tyson, but so many people around the world who are working to change and evolve the food system to feed the next billion people on the planet. For those who don't know about Tyson, I spend most of my day as an executive trying to think about what consumers and our customers want, but also more and more getting to think about what it is that as companies we can do for society. And we're a global company. We make and sell products on 5 continents around the world, and we strive to be sustainable and transparent in everything that we do. And our ambition at Tyson is to raise the world's expectations for how much good food can do. Now, I think if I think about as leaders and as business leaders, what we can do to, think about the most major sustainability issues facing the planet and what's top of mind for me, there's so many things, but it comes down into 2 big buckets. And I think the first, and Françoise touched on this a little bit, is as leaders, we have to figure out how to continue to care for and advocate for those people in our society and our communities who are most vulnerable. whether that be due to historical structural inequities, or whether that be due to something like conflict or humanitarian crises or something just like bad luck. As leaders, it is our role to advocate for change and advocate for those people who are not in a position to do that themselves. I think the second thing that's most critical for us to think about is we must continue to fight and advance the climate and the nature agenda. I think that the last few years have seen so much disruption in the world, and it's time that we recommit in order to make a positive impact collectively as leaders in order to do that. At Tyson, we've raised our ambition. We began working with farmers and ranchers and producers all around the world, and we're working daily to build a food system that not only serves human health, but also planetary health and everyone around the globe. I think what's so exciting for me, Mariah, about the Young Global Leader community is that there are people not only in this year, but in other years and everywhere connected to the forum who are thinking about these problems. And I believe with strong collective action, we have some chance to achieve great things together.
Thank you, John. You're absolutely right. There are a number of people in our community, practically no one in our community does not work somehow related to sustainability, environmental issues, and this is, I think, a critical challenge for each one of us to think about from our various lenses. So thank you very much. I also want to thank Wissam, Eva, and Francoise for joining us and having this conversation, giving the world a little taste of what incredibly remarkable, passionate, perseverant young global leaders we have in this class. You inspire us and the team every day, and it's a real privilege to be able to interact with you, get to know you, and also support your work. Of course, John, Eva, Wissam, and Francois are just 4 of the 109 change makers in the 2022 class. And they also belong to a wider community of over 1,400 young global leaders who collaborate to address critical issues in creative and meaningful ways. Discover all of our members, especially those creating change near you, on our public website, younggloballeaders.org.
And with this, I will wrap up today's session. Congratulations to all members of the class of 2022. To our viewers, if you enjoyed today's session, be sure to leave a like, a comment in the chat, or on our feed. What is your vision for responsible leadership? We'd love to hear from you. Alternatively, do you have someone in mind who should be included in next year's YGL Class of 2023? If yes, we're accepting nominations until the 31st of May. To do so, head over to our website, younggloballeaders.org. Thank you, and see you next time.